get rid of the beans. Last time these windows were opened was when Jacques Cartier discovered Quebec. And I'm particularly proud of this. Check it out. So, I don't have a trans jack. I mean, what did you expect? Weld that. I have a welder, so why not just vzzt? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today on Pat's Car Garage, we are kicking off the restoration of the red Jeep. I thought of calling it Clifford, but that has Ford in the name, and that sort of feels inappropriate. I'll be keeping everything on the front of the old Jeep since all of that is relatively new and in good condition. The lights, the grille, and especially the header panel, which are getting hard to find in good shape. Let's skip forward a little bit to having all of that removed. Off the front, I want to keep the transmission cooler, however I will do a better job of mounting it and routing the hoses on the red Jeep. The power steering cooler is an upgrade I recommend doing for anyone as soon as they have to replace something in the power steering system. Keeping the fluid cool helps preserve all the seals, reducing the chance of needing to replace something else in the future. In an earlier video, I had borrowed the red Jeep's rear bumper and bumper support. Today, both of those items are getting returned to the rightful owner. I did weld the rear bumper support on since the bolt holes didn't line up, so it will require some careful surgery to remove. Obviously, these doors are not original. I found a perfect set of doors in a junkyard, so although the red Jeep does not need them, they are getting inventoried. I'll show just the passenger side, but the driver's side doors I had replaced as well, so they are coming too. A crucial lacking amenity in my garage is a spot to sit, so both the driver and passenger front seats are becoming furniture in my garage. I'm kind of pleased with this, you know? It's the reuse part of reduce, reuse, recycle. I will skip over most of the footage that is from the interior. Suffice it to say, there is not much I either can or want to reuse between the two Jeeps. The facelifted models have a different interior to the pre-facelift, so there isn't much compatibility. It will, however, be useful to have easy access to some of the shared components, such as light bulbs for various instruments, or to replace missing interior fasteners on the red Jeep. From the rear tailgate, the only thing worth keeping is the new rear wiper arm and wiper motor. Not sure if they are the same for the models with the rear lift glass, which the red Jeep has, but it's worth spending a few minutes while the Jeep is inside the garage to do this now. You know, I already showed you guys all the rust problems this car had. Let me show you one more that I actually fixed reasonably well. So this entire area here was completely rotten, including the door hinge. The door hinge was essentially just flapping in the breeze. It was so rotten. So I've actually welded all of that quite well. So it goes up across here, down through here. Hopefully the camera picks that up reasonably well. This actually all looks good. I did grind the welds a little bit, not completely because I didn't care that much. But actually this repair here turned out to be great. If this was the extent of the rust problems of this car, it would have been fine. But as you saw earlier, it is not. Because, you know, I didn't want to pull the dash to reattach the hinge because the bolts go in through there and you have to hold the bolts somehow to put the nuts on. Well, I just welded the hinge to the chassis. You might wonder, well, how would you line the door up? With great care. If nothing else, I at least have some furniture so I could sit down in the garage and, you know, enjoy the view. It's not a nice view right now, but soon it will be. That exhaust pipe, which I replaced, hasn't lived all that long, as you can tell. That's Canada for you. Rust ruins everything. It's incredible how crap this car was and how long I kept it. But, you know what? This may have been a slow car, this may have been a crap car, but it brought a shocking amount of joy driving it, so that is why I'm restoring another one of these Jeeps. They're fun cars to drive, really, really fun. Not, you know, They're bad. They're objectively bad cars. It's a Stellantis product. What do you expect? Has Chrysler ever made a good car? You know, and I'm not talking like the Dodge Charger. I'm talking like, okay, as of the 90s, has Chrysler made a good car? Ugh. No, yeah, I don't think they have. But we keep buying Jeeps because they keep putting smiles on our faces. So, yeah, Jeeps are good. Alright, intermission over. It's time now to remove the accessories off the engine. I always found this fan to be particularly annoying to remove. I'm still undecided about doing an electric fan conversion or sticking with the fan clutch. Electric fans do make maintenance a lot easier, and the fuel efficiency gains are nice too. The Jeep, however, has the aerodynamics of a cathedral, so efficiency is probably a moot point. The other borrowed part I had from the red Jeep was the lower half of the airbox, and a bunch of the airbox clips. All of that is going back to its rightful place as well. I will also remove the radiator. I do have the special AC fitting release tools, but getting them to work seems to be hit or miss. I honestly hate this style of connection. On new parts, the tools work to release the fittings just fine, but as soon as something is weathered, it's a 50-50 chance that it'll work. I did simply cut the AC lines ahead of the condenser fittings, so I could try and save it if I need it. Worst case, I just replace the lines. Then I will just grab the power steering pump real quick, before moving on to something a little more exciting. The Jeep has a nearly full tank of gas. I was trying to siphon it out using various methods, but because of the bends in the filler neck it was too difficult. The fuel pump is still in perfectly good condition, so if I run 12 volts to the Jeep's power distribution block and jump the fuel pump relay, I can use it to pump fuel into jerry cans. So that's going to take a minute, but it is working. The fuel pump is running, and it's pumping right into my bin there. The last thing to grab accessory-wise is the alternator, which is made a little bit easier by moving the AC compressor out of the way. And also my upgraded charging and ground wires. This is a nice kit that includes heavy gauge wire between the alternator and PDC, battery and PDC, battery and starter, main chassis ground, and main engine ground. The alternator itself is a higher output version, putting out 136 amps over the stock 90 amps. Alright, I figured I would throw y'all a bone for being so patient with the build. So, status update. The transmission fluid was super low, so the dipstick is back here on this one, so I filled that up. Engine oil is good, coolant is full, got the battery in, so we can start it and see what happens. It'd be kind of a shame if the only thing that was wrong with this car is the transmission fluid being low, but we're going to try moving it under its own power. The brakes will be super rusty, so it might not want to initially move, but we'll see what happens. Alright, key in, got power, alright, let's give her the beans. There's no muffler, by the way, which is why it's super loud, but look at that. It's charging, full of fuel, got oil pressure too. Alright, I'll see if it... Oh god, the brakes are... I don't think it has any brakes. Pedal goes all the way to the floor, but... Oh my god. Oh, dudes! It moves under its own power. Wow. I really wonder if that's all that was wrong with it. Reverse? Oh yeah, we got reverse. Look at that. Drive? Oh my god. Guys, this car works. Ugh. It's got no brakes though. Okay. That's so cool. Oh my god. Okay, that's incredible. Alright, so I think the only reason that the previous owner thought this car, the transmission was bad, was because the fluid was just really low. I mean, it's not the only thing wrong with this car by a long margin, but actually, let me turn this off. Maybe I can actually hear me. Yeah, so it'd be quite funny if the only reason that the previous owner of this car thought the transmission was clapped out was because the fluid was low. As evidenced just now, it moved under its own power just fine. Transmission did not slip whatsoever. In drive, it went straight. It may still not be good, right? So I have first gear. I don't know what happens with all the other gears. Like I said, far from the only thing wrong with this car, but this is a good start. I mean, I may not even have to swap the engine to get it running. Depending on how good the transmission is. But okay, fingers crossed. I mean, it's a good sign. It's a very good sign. Don't know if that's what it's going to be the whole way through, right? It could still blow up and not work. But man, I'm so happy it works. What else? Yeah, interior stuff. The headliner is sagging, as you can tell. Like, there's a nice little bubble here. The old center console isn't. So, you know, gotta fix that somehow. Stick in, you know, Android Auto, maybe? That'd be cool. Fitting one in would be somewhat difficult, but I'm sure we can figure something out. Power outlet. That's just another 12 volt. Okay, well. Back in the garage now, it's time to remove the intake and exhaust manifolds and all of that relevant accoutrement. The lower bolts are particularly annoying to remove. You have to find the right combination of extensions to reach them, and you need to do it mostly by feel, even with the surrounding area cleared of obstructions. The headers that I just pulled, so in case you haven't seen my previous video on this topic, these are Crown Automotive headers, but they're not the usual OEM style, they're actually the Banks Power knockoff version. And they cracked! Look, right here. Let me zoom in on that. You might be able to just make it out. Yeah, right there, you can see a crack. I'm not going to replace the headers, actually. I'm just gonna weld that. I have a welder, so why not just fix that, and then these headers will be fine. But okay, time for a quick garage update. Before we go under the car, let me show you something. Look at that. Air conditioning. How about that, huh? You've heard of a heated garage, now get ready for a cooled garage. Honestly, the hardest part of this was opening these windows. Last time these windows were opened was when Jacques Cartier discovered Quebec. All the exhaust system is out. I'm getting ready to pull the engine out with the aforementioned engine lift, which I have assembled last night. It took about an hour, but comes in 3 separate boxes, so these bottom legs are removable, the long extension, so it should store quite well. But yeah, that's all ready to go. I had to pull the transfer case first, and I'm particularly proud of this. Check it out. So I don't have a trans jack or anything fancy like that. What I do have is the seats from the old, from the Jeep right above. So you pull the rear seat out, that makes a nice little landing pad for the transfer case when it comes out. Cross member is out because it helps to lower the transmission a little bit to get access to the transfer case studs, which are right over there. So you pull all the nuts out. One of the studs came out with the nut, so not a big deal. You have to disconnect a couple of electrical plugs, the breather, and the shift linkage, and after that 6 nuts. They're reasonably accessible. You should even be able to pull it without the transmission lowered, but of course this is easier. So yeah, I just used the seat here to have something to let the transfer case fall on and not damage the case. So I mean, what did you expect? All things considered, it could have been worse. It's not like I care about saving the integrity of this car. So now the big part, pulling the engine out. I brought the lift over and attached it to some easily accessible bolt holes. The center of gravity is quite far back, and I should have attached the lift further back, but I was already committed to this and I did not feel like resetting. So I maxed out the leveler and hoped for the best. The other critical mistake, which you will notice soon enough, is that I am way too close to the garage door. So I won't have room to pull the engine straight out, but again, continue and hope for the best. I took the passenger side engine mount out since it is easy to access, and I thought I would need the wiggle room, which I did. I left the other mount in place because the steering column is in the way of the bolts, and with the crash damage I couldn't turn the wheels since the passenger wheel was up against the fender. So, continue and hope for the best. There were a couple of wires that needed to be snipped, and I took a grinder to the transmission shift cable since it was disgusting and I did not feel like touching it, and I didn't care about saving it either. With all that hope lined up, the engine slowly made its way out. Keep a drain pan near the transmission's output shaft since the torque converter will drain all of its fluid out through there and make a giant mess. Ask me how I know. Alright, engine is out of the car. As you can tell, I had to snip a couple of wires that I couldn't be bothered to save. But again, this wiring harness, I don't care about it. So whatever. It helps to pull one mount out. Gets you a little bit more wiggle room to pull the engine out. The other mount I left it in, because this one's annoying to get to. The steering shaft goes right over one of the bolts, and it's just kind of annoying. I spread kitty litter all over the floor. This is already round 2 to pick up all the oil. So in case you don't know, kitty litter absorbs a whole bunch of stuff. It's great for oil spills and so on. So I've got to let that soak up and clean it up. For now, the engine, I'll leave it here. But eventually I'm going to tape up all the holes and maybe clean it up a little bit before finding a permanent home for it to chill at. But for now, it'll stay there. The engine lift, yeah, the removable legs, that's quite useful. So up against the wall nicely, doesn't use up too much room, so that'll come in handy for sure at some other time. But yeah, I will call it for this episode. All the parts that I needed from this Jeep have been removed, and it is now ready to be parked temporarily out in the yard until the red one works. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stick around for the next one. I don't know when it's gonna come, but hopefully sooner rather than later, but we never know. This is still quite a large project, and unlike my other videos where I mostly do educational things, I will try to focus on entertainment here. So it's new for me, it's new for you, hopefully. I know a whole bunch of people are working on Jeeps, but hopefully, as far as ZJ restorations go, I'm hoping to bring you the finest quality that I can muster up. If anyone's looking for a catalytic converter, slightly rusty, hit me up.